it's fine. If you want to stay muted, that's up to you. If you have background noise, dogs barking, whatever. And so we have a new agenda. I want to thank Fabian for all his help putting this together. Really did a great job on this, as usual. Our first item is call to order. I don't have my thing here. And where's my, first item is call to order. Okay, then we're going to do the roll call. Fabian's going to do that.
Okay, the roll call. Deborah Potter.
Here.
James Vaughn.
Here.
James Gollin.
Here.
Steve Graham. Okay. Cabby Kabakov.
Here.
Chris Jonas.
Here.
Katrina Mendoza.
Here.
Andrea Meta.
She's excused. Meta, she's excused.
Okay. Heisner.
Jack Paisner. Don't see him yet. There he is. He just
Here we go.
Ooh, good timing.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, everybody.
Pamela Pierce.
Here.
Frank Pagano.
Here.
I don't see Frank.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Oh, there you are. Okay, wait.
Jillian Spitzmiller.
Joanne's working. She's excused.
Okay, Milton Reese.
All here.
Michael Becker.
Here.
Anna Dara.
Here.
Did I miss anybody?
Elias Gallegos. I didn't hear my name called.
Yeah.
And nor mine.
Steve Graham, your name was called, but you weren't there yet.
I'm here.
But Steve Graham is here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Doug Acton is excused. He wasn't called, but he's excused. He's working.
And Gay Dillingham wasn't called.
Okay, Dillingham.
Gay Dillingham.
Okay.
Here.
You recorded me, David?
Alexandria Baumbach is not on the video, but she's here. She's hearing it. Yeah.
Is she here like on the screen or here in town?
I think, Deborah, you need to just let her in.
Nobody's
Let her in. She's in.
that one.
There we go. I wasn't being let in.
Okay.
Alexandria Bombach.
Fabian and I are both trying to control this technology stuff. So anybody else not called or know of anybody
Not
not?
sure if I was recorded.
Wow.
Elias Gallegos.
Here.
David Aubrey.
Here, there we go.
And Doug Acton's excused.
Right. You said that.
Working, yay, working. Okay. So now we get to approval of the agenda. And I would like to do some revisions to the agenda. And I'm gonna do I just learned how to do this share screen thing. So here is the suggestions for revising the agenda. And I hope this works. Come here. I'm new at this, so I'm not seeing. Okay, I will do it out loud. If you happen to have
Want me to
the
do it?
agenda, would
Want me
you,
to do it?
Fabian? I hate to be fuddling here. We have, everybody's time is very valuable. Thank you. So, Oh, I pressed the wrong thing. That's why. Here it is. Okay. So the revisions I'm asking
That's not the
for.
right one.
Okay. Well, let's get the right one up here. I'm going to get rid of this one then. Okay. So will you put it up, Fabian?
Sure.
All right. But if any of you have the copies of the agenda that Fabian sent, I can just tell you orally what I'd like to do. Under reports, I'd like to have Randy second, Fabian first. Under reports, I'd like to have Jennifer. She was on my original agenda. Did something happen? At the end of the reports, I'd like to cross out that first goals for next meeting. We're doing it later. And I'd like to change item number 9 to 11 and put 9 up. The 9 is, I'd like to change matters from the public to number 11, matters from the staff to number 9, matters from the commission, that's kind of like any news or announcements, number 10. So those are the changes that I would like to have, and I would appreciate somebody making that motion, and then we can discuss them.
It's all on the screen. Let me roll it for you.
Great.
I move that we modify the agenda to be whatever it was that Deborah just said.
Thank you.
I second.
I have
Second.
a second. Now, any discussion? Wow. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll say,
Aye.
Aye.
hey, hey, yay. Thank you very much, Fabian, for that.
I'm going to email it to you while we're talking to everybody,
Okay.
unless you want me to just leave it there on the.
Well, does anybody take it home and frame it? Otherwise, we should. I don't see any reason for you to email it, but if you want to, go ahead. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, because on the shared screen, I can only see matters 8, 9, and 10. You know,
Okay.
Okay, let me just, I will email it while you're talking, and you can go ahead on with the.
Thank you, Fabian.
You're
And
welcome.
how do I get it off of my screen now? Anyway, figure it out. Here, do share screen again. This will stop other screening. Do you want to continue? No. This is annoying, but we're new at this, right? So I want to get rid of this shared screen. Fabian, can you take?
There it is.
All right, there. Oh, now we're all back together. Same. It's like Thanksgiving at the same table. Okay, so we got that. All right, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from way back in February when we had our last prior meeting? So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Yay. And do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Fabian, who's keeping track of the minutes part? Fabian? Fabian, you're muted. Fabian.
Yes, I'm keeping track of the minutes.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure. So Fabian, we have to speak nicely because Fabian's such a gentleman. We have to be very careful. Okay. So we're on to.
You need to ask if there was any people who didn't approve it because I can't see everybody's.
All those in favor say aye again. So we get this straight, or just raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Minutes have been approved. So now we will go to Fabian to explain the whole technology and how this all works now. Thank you, Fabian.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, I mean, this is pretty simple. We're going to be meeting on Zoom once a month. It's also being on YouTube, so people can go and join if they'd like, but they can't participate. So if you have people who want to participate and not ask questions and stuff, then they would have to follow what's, they would just have to ask for a Zoom meeting, and that's in the setup. We're also going to be using PrimeGov. We didn't do very much of that tonight, and that's where you'll be getting your agendas and your meeting packet and everything. That's how the city has switched to that. The legislative affairs people, Jesse Guillen, will contact everybody, and we'll make sure that everybody is up to speed. It's actually pretty easy. So that's how we're going to go forward from now on. And, you know, it's good to see everybody. I hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving. It was great to be off and everything. So, but that's all I have as far as the meeting setup.
So if somebody wants to be a visitor at this meeting, we send them the link and then we just mute them until that portion of the meeting?
Well, they're gonna have to contact me beforehand.
Okay.
They can get so they can get a link, but there's instructions on the city's website on PrimeGov on how to participate in any public meeting.
Okay.
And they just have to follow those instructions. They are at the top of your agenda.
Okay.
Top of your agenda is what they are. The one that I sent to you.
Fabulous.
So the agendas will also be different than what you're used to seeing. This is the way that the city or the legislative affairs wants these agendas to look like. And so we don't have very much choice with regards to that, except for what we put inside them.
So next time you and I will go over it sooner than we did this time. Yes,
We will.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Fabian? Any questions for Fabian? Okay. Then Randy.
Did you want to talk about Midtown?
I'm sorry?
Did you want me to talk about Midtown? You had me for other updates too.
Yes, please talk about Midtown. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to introduce Rich Brown, our Director of Community Development, and he will give the Midtown update.
Okay, and since Randy's not here, if he could also keep us, oh, there's Randy, never mind.
Randy's here. Randy's here.
Okay.
Great. Good morning to everyone.
Hi.
Thank you guys for joining in this morning and great holiday weekend. I was going to give a quick update on Midtown. Daniel Hernandez usually is kind of our Midtown update. He's the project manager, but he teaches a class, a virtual class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So there was a conflict with the time. So from a Midtown standpoint, there's a couple of things, 4 items I wanted to share and then go into what we're doing on the film side. As you may know, we're in an exclusive negotiating agreement with a finalist developer, which we call Team Midtown. And that agreement ends in May of 2021. And we're working through all the negotiated pieces of zoning, development projects, phase 1 project, et cetera. And so we are deep into that, regardless of holiday, regardless of weekends. So that's happening there. One of the big things that's come out of it so far is that we have scheduled what we call an urban planning and development charrette, which is going to launch on December 7th. It's a 3-day program, a convening of about 30 or 40 folks, staff for the city, and then infrastructure folks and development folks on the developer side. And it's an internal program. It will be published. All the results will be published, I think, on the December the 15th after it's done. And it's mainly to figure out what the usage are for the campus as it relates to land, as it relates to infrastructure, as it relates to roads, as it relates to production of film, as it relates to housing, et cetera. And so it helps us inform what sort of development will happen over the next 10 years. So hopefully at the next meeting I can, or Daniel and I can give an update on that charrette, but I'll let Fabian know when the actual document is done and can be shared. Also on the film side, right now Garson Studios with Claudio is still underemployed with the film production, and he is looking at a couple of new entries, but he currently has 2 productions in the campus. They're not underway right now because of COVID, but what's been exciting about it is that the productions that were there are there, have expanded their footprint at the campus. And we're excited about that because we had a lot of buildings that were not being used. And so they figured out innovative ways to expand their use. One, that's good for our GRT, and two, it's good for the types of productions that would be interested in coming to the city of Santa Fe. Additionally, we are in a negotiating process right now with our finalist developer on a film production lease that will probably take place over 2 years until they get to what they call a disposition agreement. But they are looking at some very exciting things, a film school. They have 2 types of production companies that will take over the space and more expanded than what Claudio actually is doing right now. And we're, as I said, in the negotiation phase. So once that's all done, we're hoping by mid-February, this lease agreement will happen, and then they can license out to other entities. So I will either come to this commission, or Daniel will come to the commission and explain what's happening there. But currently, Claudio is working with his Garson Studios work, and it's closed right now because of COVID, but he is actually managing the property, and we are concurrently in negotiations with our finalist developer on what could happen as we get through this ENA to the disposition for them to take over the full campus. One additional thing I wanted to add is that we are also looking at working with the state to do a land swap. The campus, as people know it, it sounds like it's a big square, but it's really not. The state owns some land, the Forest Service owns some land, and so we're in the middle of negotiations on trying to getting that land swapped with other properties we have, and we have to take that to the legislature come January. So there's a lot of activity going on concurrently, and in the film side, Claudio is moving along with productions as he can do them until the governor lifts any restrictions. So that's my update for now, but I wanted to let you guys know that.
For Rich, does anybody have any questions for Rich? No, let's applaud the effort they're doing. That's fantastic.
He has a lot of work. There's a lot going on.
Oh, really?
Thank you guys for convening today too, so it's a good thing. So.
Great.
Actually, I had a question, Deborah.
Okay.
Rich, you mentioned that there was a lease agreement for Garson. Is that under the umbrella of KDC, or is it a completely separate thing? What's happening there? How were those vendors?
Steve, that's a good question, Steve. So KDC Sienda is the name of the developer. KDC is separate, yet Sienda Development, but they came together as a partnership, and they have 16 different partners, housing, et cetera. And so what KDC Sienda did was they created an LLC. So the LLC will actually take over, once the lease is approved and agreed upon, will take over film production at Midtown based upon the fact that they're in an exclusivity agreement, because that's one of the terms of their agreement, that they can work on development, housing, film, et cetera. So they created an LLC, which they're working with, and they are also going to partner with the community college to create a film school. So this LLC all of that will fall into their license, which they then, so the lease agreement, which they'll license out to different entities that they are talking to right now.
Got it. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question for Rich? Okay. Well, again, let's applaud him.
Thank you.
That's what he's doing.
Thanks very much.
Randy, what's happening with flights to LA?
Thank you, Deborah, Madam Chair. Nothing is happening with flights to LA, but we are running about 40%, I think, of what we were running pre-COVID at the airport, which is kind of amazing that we're getting that volume in. There are a couple of flights to Dallas. There's a flight to Denver. The Phoenix flight is dormant at this point. I think there are a couple of exciting things. One is that the state has hired, through the tourism department, has hired a firm to study the secondary airports in the state and come up with a marketing and restart program for the airports. So we are definitely a part of that. We're the largest secondary airport in the state. And that's a study that hasn't been completed yet. I've seen a draft of it, but it will help us get it restarted. The Air Alliance has gone dormant during the COVID period, but it still has funds in the bank. And I've actually put some money in. We've already started our budgeting, believe it or not, for fiscal 22. And I've put some money in the tourism budget to try to support a restart effort as well. I think the key will be to get the flights back that we had, and then we can see about any sort of expansion. This study incorporates the idea of some expansion, and it's looking at both. It's highlighted both LA or the LA area, as well as Chicago and Houston as potential expansions for the airport. I don't have any information on the improvements that are partially funded for the airport, but I hope to have that for your next meeting. By the way, thank you for your patience, everyone, in us getting this meeting started again. You are one of the first advisory boards to have a full meeting, so take pride in the fact that there is definitely a concern about film. And the beauty is, from a tourism standpoint, film has been allowed to happen when other things haven't. So your industry is more important than ever, I think, as we struggle through the next few months and start a restart in the late spring, early summer. Madam Chair, if I could just mention, there are 2 grant programs available. Rich is spearheaded one it's a city-county grant program that allows businesses with up to $5 million worth of volume, I think in 2019, to apply for up to $25,000 worth of grant funds. Both of these programs will expend their money by December 30th or give it back to the state and or the federal government. So if you qualify for a grant and you don't apply, you either have more money than most of us or shame on you for not applying. Please do it. Then on the state basis, the legislature just made available $100 million in grants that can be up to $50,000. And the only qualification there is it has to be a company based in the New Mexico, and it has to be have from 1 to 100 employees. If you don't have any employees, it can't apply. If you have more than 100, and these are full-time employees, not seasonal, not part-time. So there are an awful lot of businesses in the film side that I think could qualify for that $50,000. And again, these are not loans, these are grants. And the beauty is of a grant, you don't have to pay them back. So just wanted to share that, Madam Chair, to be sure that we broadcast the idea that the applications are underwhelming for the $25,000 grants through the city and county. And the process, and that program is ongoing. The process for the state grants hasn't been announced yet. It was just approved last week. It's coming out shortly, and it's going to be a real short time frame. They say the application process will be relatively easy. Now, I think that's in government terms, so I'm sure it still will be complicated because it is federal money being given away, and that is a little harder than other things. But and of course, tourism is relatively dormant. So I wish you all would get busy and create some activity that is an essential business that allows us to get some visitors into our hotels. They need it desperately.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could.
All he does for tourism.
Yeah, thanks, Randy.
Any questions for Randy?
Madam Chair, if I could real quick, I wanted to add, if you believe qualifies for this grant, as Randy said, is not a loan, it's a grant, especially for the city-county collaboration. Just email Fabian. Fabian is one of the advisors who's helping any small business who's looking to apply for the grant, and he also heads our steering committee. So he is the perfect person who can answer your questions and help you through the process. So I think everyone has Fabian's email address, but he's the guy that you want to reach out to. So thank you, Randy, for mentioning that. So
thanks very
Madam Chair.
much. Great. Anyway, so any questions for Randy about any of that?
I have one.
Okay, Frank.
Randy, do you know where one would go to keep an eye on that state grant? How do you check on that? How do you find it? Or?
Yeah, it's the New Mexico Finance Authority that's going to be overseeing that. But there they're meeting, they met yesterday and they're meeting again today to actually come up with the criteria to distribute $100 million in 30 days, which is kind of amazing process. And there should be more coming out shortly. Catherine Miller, the county manager, happens to be chairman of the Finance Authority. And so if and as we get any information, I hope Fabian will distribute it to this commission. And then don't just keep it yourselves. If you know other people in the industry, please pass it out, because the key is going to be to get this information out as quickly as possible.
I would, just to add on to what you're saying, Randy, I would just go to the www.nmfa.org and they'll be posting things up over there. I will be happy to send the details around when the New Mexico Finance Authority does that. So the New Mexico Finance Authority is a $50,000 grant, and the city and county is a $25,000 grant. And the city and county's processes are already set up, and all you just have to do, you can just email them, people to contact me, and I will make sure that they get processed and everything. And we're moving the money pretty fast out. We have a pretty robust pipeline, actually. But you need to tell people to get that information to me as soon as possible.
After December 30th, these are all CARES funds. So after December 30th, they are no longer available.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, both of you. Anna, you have a question.
Do you know if you still have to show that you've lost, what is it, 50% of your income between March and April, basically? Is that part of the, have they figured that part out yet, Fabian? Do you know?
Yes. So here's the requirements. So from 2002, from March all the way to the end of the year, or within the second and third quarters, you just have to have a proof of a loss of 25%. Okay, you have to be a Santa Fe business. It's got to be $5 million or less in revenue. You can go to the city's website or the county's website, and all of this information is there. But
And when they email you, Fabian, you'll send them that information.
right, and if you email me or whatever, or if you'd like, I can send you a link, or I'll just send a link after this meeting.
Yeah.
If you want an application, just contact me. We just got the updated applications that are not on our website this morning for the $25,000 ones, but it'll be put up by today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I want to add also
And,
that this is all for nonprofits.
Rich, just a second.
Oh, sorry.
Detailed questions about this, please email Fabian and ask him. Okay, Rich, yes.
So, sorry about that, Madam Chair. I also want to add, this is for nonprofits and small businesses. So I know we've been talking about businesses, but I believe there's some nonprofits on this call today. So nonprofits are eligible for this grant money. So if you're a nonprofit, the same eligibility applies to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay, let's move on now. Jennifer, tell us what's happening. What's going on? Where's the work?
Hi, Madam Chair. Hi, members of the commission and guests. Good to see all your faces again. So film has actually stayed pretty busy. Even when we were in our downtime, was fielding a lot of calls, people still wanting to come to Santa Fe when everything opened up. And of course, everything opened up at around August or so. And as most of you know, the governor has deemed film as an essential business. So when she's doing these resets and closing down, film has been staying open. So that's been great news for the industry. I was doing a list the other day, and we've had 20 productions since end of August that have either finished up production from pre-COVID shutdown, or they have started production or have inquired and committed to coming to Santa Fe in the next few months. So that's been good news for the Santa Fe region. And, Roswell has picked up into their third season. They are ramping up now. They have taken over the old Kmart building on St. Michael's and have set it up. They have built multiple sets in there. So it's been a really great space. It's good news for the city. So they have outgrown Santa Fe Studios, where they're at. They're building a lot of sets in the back lot right now over at Santa Fe Studios. But with this Kmart building become vacant, they have managed to, I was over there about 3 weeks ago, and I think they already have about 7 or 8 sets inside the Kmart building right now. So again, great use of the space for that Kmart. So if you see activity over there, that's what's going on. They plan to be there through May. And then assuming they get picked up for another season, they will look at, how they're going to keep that building or continue to lease it. Maybe they'll buy it. I don't know. But I've been working with Eli at the city, handling with the permits and everything. And for now, they've got their occupancy permit for there. But if it becomes more of a permanent fixture for them, we'll be continuing to work with the city to see how we can make that work. Also, we have with the state, I've been in constant contact with Amber, with our film commissioner, throughout the months, and had requested that we start doing liaison meetings. As you may or may not know, the state has liaisons all throughout the state. There's about 18 of us, and handling our regions. And so the state has started about a month ago. We had our first liaison meeting, similar to what we're looking at here, where we can all get together and talk about what's going on in our region, COVID practices, anything that's coming up that we need to talk about. We just had our second meeting yesterday, and it sounds like a lot of the regions have been picking up business and busy. So good for the state. And we talked about the Netflix announcement, of course, which I'm sure most of you have read. In that conversation yesterday, it came up about the trainings, because Netflix it said they're going to be doing, trainings as part of this expansion. And one of the questions was, well, how are they going to be doing the trainings? Is it going to be there at the studios in Albuquerque? Are they reaching out throughout the state? And it's the state's understanding, and what they announced is that they're going to be working with our local film schools with this training. So, Milton and James, I don't know if they've reached out to you yet, but it sounds like Netflix is going to be branching out. So it's not something that's just primarily at the studios in Albuquerque, that it'll be statewide. What else we have going on? I guess that's it for really my report. Elias, it's fun to see you on the CW. I see you almost every night, because Seinfeld's one of my nightly shows to fall asleep to, because I love it. But you're always there on the CW. So Elias, it's fun seeing you. That's it.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. Any questions for Jennifer?
I don't know if I have a question or just kind of an additional announcement that probably people saw, but this training program for intimacy coordinators sounds like a great opportunity, and to get the word out to anybody that might be interested in pursuing that. I think what a great new job opportunity for people.
And the state will be doing the training on that as well. So that'll be free training to whoever gets those positions.
Excellent.
Well, let's give Jennifer a big, Milton, you have a
Yeah,
question.
just a couple of brief questions, I hope. First one is, do you have a insight onto the time frame that Netflix is going to contact us? Because I haven't been contacted yet, although I know that I have caught wind of something happening higher up in my administration that they're being very hush-hush about. And so I was curious if they've already breached contact with the authorities at the various colleges, or is that still yet to come?
It's my understanding they have not reached out to anyone yet, that they're in the preliminary planning of how they're going to handle the trainings.
Oh, Perfect. Okay, cool. And the second question really is about how are they handling the COVID safety practices on sets? Is it uniform, or is it sort of random, a hodgepodge of this and that, or is it somebody that's coordinating it through the city?
So every set has to have a COVID supervisor that handles the testing. They're the ones that are constantly out on set, making sure that people are keeping their social distance. It's done by color. There's the red zone, the yellow zone, and the green zone. As far as, is your question like, is the city or the county policing that, so to speak, or supervising
Well,
that?
I guess that is kind of the question, is who's really in charge of it? Because I've had several students that have been on sets, and they said it's kind of like on some sets it's one way, on some sets it's another way. And on some sets there's nothing. So, if there isn't somebody that is, I hate to use the word policing it, I guess it's just because I'm a hippie from Evergreen State College, but it seems to me that there should be some sort of an authority that at least there should be oversight, I guess is what I'm saying. Because again, I've just heard students that are on sets that have said that it's a hodgepodge. It's basically some are this, some are that, some are nothing, some are really good. So.
And that's the responsibility of the COVID supervisor. The COVID supervisor tends to be the least popular person on set because it really is their responsibility to report to the health office and to the state film office that there's been either, a positive test or that they're not complying to their zones. So it's really under the, kind of the honesty of the COVID supervisor, which everyone is supposed to have. But we've talk to the state, and it's something that really we think should come from the state level. It's kind of hard for the local municipalities to supervise that or to go out. I mean, we do have like a code enforcement department and all that, but they're not trained in any way to do to go do set visits. And it's hard to get out on set. Like I can't even go out and do a set visit right now if they're following the proper protocols.
Right.
So in answer to your question, it's something that is not being supervised through local municipalities at the moment. And it's something I believe that the state is looking at and how we are going to enforce it.
Okay, cool. Because I was actually on set, this was about a month ago, and just doing a spot check for something entirely different. Everybody thought I was one of the COVID specialists, and so everybody ran from me. It was really funny.
Milton, I can answer that question. This is Fabian. I can answer that question.
Oh, cool.
The state has the governor has taxed the New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Department with overseeing a lot of the pandemic stuff. They're going around and checking all around the state, and they're issuing cease and desist orders initially, and then if businesses don't follow the rules, they'll move to fines.
Thank you.
I can give a little more background too. The union requirements are much more stringent than the state requirements. So the Tri-Guild or the union document that was put out with SAG and primarily SAG is driving it in terms of enforcement. It's much more stringent, and as Jen referred to, there are different zones, and you have to have a COVID officer, and you have to do testing on all the crew at least once a week, and you have to do testing on A zone people at least 3 times a week, which are the folks that interact with actors and the actors. The requirements that we were under for the state were generally they were like the requirements you have for a warehouse. So you had to do social distancing and have masks and things like that. But the state requirements were much less stringent. The only thing that we were under state-wise was to report our testing, the amount of testing that we did, had to report back to the film office every day. And they hounded us about that because we missed a couple of reports, and they're trying to get a handle on who's testing and where they're testing and how many people are getting tested. And then we're under the state requirements that if you have a positive, you have to report it, and then a rapid response would happen, and we'd be under the same restrictions that the governor has put under for all businesses. So that was my experience anyway.
Thank you, Steve, for that very much.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question on this about.
Gay, are you?
Yeah.
Who's,
I
raise
think
your
I'm
hand. Okay.
here. Yeah, sorry.
No, I just can't tell. Thank
Yeah.
you.
The question is about the criteria and or any information people have on what Netflix plans to fund and how we go about applying for that. And is there any information available yet on that?
I
Ginger?
haven't seen any information come through yet. With this announcement being so fresh, I think they're just getting the word out. And then once they get more streamlined on their programs and everything, we should be seeing those announcements from the state film office.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
I do have one more thing. I am
Great.
looking for one of the bigs that's looking at coming. They really want to be in Santa Fe, but I'm having trouble finding the space. If anyone knows of any space that's about 60,000 square feet with 40-foot ceilings, I've got a huge studio that wants to come out and film from February through July. But I have a call into the National Guard to see if one of their hangars may be available. But we've got a rodeo
Mention again.
in the southern part of the county, but it's too small for them. So if anyone knows of any facility like that, please reach out to me and let me know.
What's your size again?
60,000 60,000 square feet of contiguous
60,
space.
60.
60,000 and 40 feet ceilings, 40-foot ceilings.
Based out by the
Oh,
Santa Fe
40-foot
Airport.
ceiling.
Yeah, the Santa Fe Airport hangars are too small. I've talked to them, so that's why I have a call into the National Guard. He and I have been playing phone tag, so I don't know if they have anything that big and if they'd be willing to, give it up for that long a time. So
Thank you.
That's a tall order, literally.
yeah.
Very funny. That's great.
Yeah, somebody had to say it, didn't they?
Okay, so let's find out. Let's see what we're all doing now. I'm going to call in each one of you individually, and obviously, and just let us know what work you're doing now, so that we're all aware of what each other's doing. Jacques, are you still with us? Jacques? No. Okay. Alexandria, tell us what you're up to.
There's Jock.
Oh, Jacques.
Oh,
Hi.
sorry. Hey.
It's all right. I pronounce his name different.
Yeah, the fest was pretty excellent considering the movie theaters are closed. We did a bunch of shows at the drive-in and then a virtual component of it where people didn't have to travel here to see festival movies, and awarded all the same cash prizes, and the competition portion of the festival was pretty similar to any year. And we're hoping that theaters open in the spring or summer, and next year we'll be back for a full fest.
That's great. Wonderful. Yeah. Alexandria, I'm going in the order you are on my screen, so forgive me if you're not the same order. Anyway, Alexandria, tell us what you're up to.
Hi, everybody. I just got back from a very COVID-safe shoot in Georgia, in Atlanta, and I'm just in the edit on my film on the Indigo Girls. And we postponed when we're wanting to finish it. We dropped trying to do festivals or anything like that for the time being. And yeah, and I also just bought a home, so I'm renovating a house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's terrific. Steve, tell us everything.
Oh, well, just finished UPMing a horror film in Albuquerque. And under the COVID stuff, making films is hard anyway, but man, it's hard. It's really difficult, especially on a small budget. So I applaud anybody who's doing it successfully and safely. One of the surprising things is that you're just not as mobile as you would like to be. And, if you need to replace someone, you have to have a 3 or 4 day, lead time to get them tested and get them on set. So it makes it very, very difficult. But also optioned a screenplay, local from local writers. It's called The Penny, and we're trying to find a home for that right now. Hope to shoot it in 2021, and doing a lot of writing. So it's been a couple of other projects on the horizon, but nothing in the boat yet.
Fantastic. Great. Elias, what's going on with you?
Well, as Jen's, stated, I'm back on air with the CW. I'm the New Mexico CW MC. So I'm engaged in a lot of promos, and we had started to launch what looks like could be a variety show. It's me kind of clowning around doing different characters. And with COVID, that we've kind of off to a slow start, but we're our pre-recording segments. With COVID guidelines, we have very strict windows, if you will, where we can go into the building or the station, and you've got a select amount of time where you can work, and then everyone's got to leave, and you adhere to ABC crew, and it's all color coded, somewhat similar to what a lot of the studios are doing. And then in George's world, we've got a couple Westerns interested in The Train out in Lamy. So we've been doing a couple scouts over the last 2 weeks. And I probably should reach out to Cabby. Been doing a couple of voiceover things, so I need a little help with my home studio. It's a little Radio Shack-ish now, so I need to step into the big leagues. But other than that, trying to stay sane and safe, and luckily still working.
Yeah, work is a good thing. So Frank, tell us what's going on over there. You're muted. You need to unmute yourself. Frank, you need to unmute yourself.
I got it.
Here. Okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
So we're trying to figure out what the festival is going to look like next June. We've got we're working on 3 options simultaneously. One would be the full-blown festival, which seems very unlikely. The second would be the festival kind of scattered, reduced in size, and at smaller locations where you can actually control the traffic. And by that time, hopefully be able to meet COVID requirements, if there are any. And the third option is to go fully online again, like we did in August. And so I'm doing a lot of research, looking at festivals around the world and how they're dealing with this. And because the real trick is, which I think we did a good job in August, but I'm learning, it needs to be more of a, if you're going to have to go this way, it needs to be more of a immersive and experiential kind of event. And I did recently see one. It's actually a documentary film festival. It's the International Documentary Film Festival in Amsterdam. Just did an incredible job with their online thing, because not only do they have lots of documentaries to watch, just their whole environment was amazing. They really had it down. But there was a whole VR section, 360. I mean, it was very, very well done. And so people are really starting to innovate right now in terms of how to use the online environment. There was one artist, documentary filmmaker, who did this thing about his death of his father, who was a fireman. But you went on this journey. You were there with people from all over the world. I think there was about 50 people involved. It was like a Zoom. It was a mixture of Zoom and a program called Miro. So you were on this with people all over the world. But he would have certain things he would have you do. You'd break out with another person you'd never met before and have this talk. And then next thing you know, you're with 4 people who you're traveling to this graphic landscape with trails and things to discover along the way. But you're going with these 4 people you've never met before, and you're talking to them. You can see them. You're having this conversation. It was really quite remarkable, actually, and very moving. It was really great. So people are innovating and with the online environment. So right now I'm just making notes of things we want to show at an online festival. And we're also reaching out to artists about an in-person festival. So we don't really know yet. Another thing we've done lately is we've created a couple of webinar series. One of our staff for Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department, where it's a webinar on live streaming and basically how to do it, basics, how to do it with your phone. Forget about finding, if you got a good phone, you can do great live streaming. So, and how to use OBS and use different kinds of programs to do that. So we've been working with the Arts and Culture Department on that, and just writing grants. We did get the county grant, which we're very grateful for. So far, we've had a lot of government support, which has been, we got $50,000 from the NEA, the PPP money, now this. So we feel extremely fortunate and very grateful for all that support.
Fabulous, wonderful news. So, Mr. Gottlieb, tell us what's going on with you and the Film Commission for the state that you're on.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. So actually today, December 1st, is the day that per statute, the State Film Council makes sends in its annual report to the governor and the legislature. So that's all done. It is not, as soon as it gets actually sent to them, I'll get the final version and send out to all of you guys in case you're interested. There's a bunch of appendices from with some detailed work group from the 3 working groups, one of which is about the incentives, one of which is about education and training, and the third of which is about developing new business for the state. That we boiled down to the main report, which is about 4 pages, which is, as you know, hard to get something shorter. But I wanted it as short as possible so that it is readable. And in the super summary of the recommendations are preserve existing incentive caps while expanding pathways for diverse and local talent. Redefine rural to redefine parameters for the rural incentive uplift. Improve broadband infrastructure and expand a duty-free digital economy. Overhaul state lending guidelines to provide needed funding for the industry. Develop seamless articulation between 2- and 4-year film programs. Create a centralized portal for internship opportunities for students. Develop outreach and training programs for diverse individuals and professionals with transferable skills. Expand the Film Crew Advancement Project, FCAP, to include post-production. Develop COVID-19 training programs to adapt to changing circumstances. Expand and replicate the John Pinto Memorial Fund, including training components to expand diversity, and expand New Mexico Film Office staffing to do all of the above. And so COVID hit just when the current film council came into being. So all of our meetings have been like this, which is less than ideal. But actually, I think a lot of good work got done. The work product is pretty good, and I can send it all out to you guys at end of today or tomorrow, whenever it get the official version. I guess I just add that in terms of a general sense that the elections, and particularly the primaries, were last June, were good for film. That is, people who are pro-film did well, and a few people who were not as supportive are no longer, they're still there now, but as of January, they will no longer be in the legislature. And yet the fiscal situation is extremely complicated with COVID and the oil price drop. So while it's not as dire as some thought it might be, it's pretty tough. So anybody who is expecting massive expansion or new subsidies or whatever, it's just probably not the year, along with all the complications of a new administration in Washington and the potential for some New Mexicans to move up and out to DC creates further uncertainty. So turning the recommendations of the Film Council into reality will be an interesting challenge over the coming months and year. And that's my report.
A lot of hard work. Good for you. Thank you for doing that. Katrina, how are you and what's going on with you?
Hi, everyone. Before I forget, I did want to mention Zerb.tv if anyone hasn't heard about it. That's with an XERB. It's a Santa Fe based company that's been blowing up because they're doing online film festivals. And so if that's something you want to look into, I'd recommend it. But for my update, so I guess right before COVID hit, we, as in my partner and I, had this plan to renovate a trailer into a mobile studio, which we are in the thick of right now. It was kind of fortuitous that COVID happened, but the idea was always that we would take that on the road and make documentaries, because our business is all based in web-based documentaries and promotional videos. So we'll see how that develops creatively now that we're in a pandemic. I think it actually lends itself to a lot of different kind of capture, so we'll see. But besides that, we are still working with different people around town to do COVID shoot. We did one with Space, that's a tiny desk concert around the theme of displaced. And that was in Site Santa Fe. And then we're also working on one for the Seiler Yard project, the Arts and Creativity Center, to spread the word and open up the notion of what it means to be an artist, so that people are more likely to self-identify as an artist and then qualify themselves to get into this housing. So that's what I'm up to. And if you want to see the step-by-step of how the trailer's going, we're posting all about it on our Ditch the Box Studios Instagram page. So feel free to follow us.
Sure. Fabulous. All right. Anna. You're muted still. Do you want me to unmute you? How are you going to do this? Okay.
Sorry, my dogs actually started barking exactly as you said my name.
Of course.
They are well trained. So, hi everybody. Nice to be back. It's great to see all these faces. I wish we could actually bump shoulders or something, but yeah, so mostly during this time, Film Nest Studios, which is the company that I have with Jillian and Alessandra Dobrin-Kalsa, we're working on a series pilot for a docu-series called Motherland. And we've been shooting since August, have a few more shoots to do, not much left. And we're entering into the edit phase now. So it's been a lot of work, and we're kind of in writing and organizational phase, but I think we nailed down the COVID aspects, and we're in line with the rebate process. So I'm feeling really good as the producer on the whole thing. And yeah, that's us for now.
Fantastic. James, how's school?
Well, our semester is winding down, and but we're gearing up for the spring, which is going to be mostly online as this semester was, and so prepping for that. Hopefully fall 2021, we might start getting back to normal. I'm not counting on it, but hopefully start to have more in-person classes, but we'll see how that goes with the vaccine and everything. Speaking of fall 2021, I'll probably be reaching out to some of you, Milton in particular. I've got a full-time faculty member who's going on sabbatical for the year, starting in the fall of 2021. So I'll be looking for people who are capable of teaching production, particularly people who are proficient with the red cameras and Blackmagic cameras. So, so if you know anybody who has those skills and would like some work starting in fall of 2021, then just let me know, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks.
That's very exciting. David, how's it going over there?
It's going pretty well, fortunately. It's a lot of just editing away in these dark rooms, so it's kind of isolating, of course, but feeling good about the work, and it's been progressing along different stages on different projects. Also, really enjoyed getting involved with Theater Grotesco, and they did a show, an online show that had 6 characters in it, and they all essentially filmed their own roles of them all doing a script that's a parody called King Without a Kingdom. And they may have had a friend shooting with them, but they were either by themselves or with one other person. And they sent all that material into us, and we worked with it. It was like a jigsaw puzzle putting it together, but they actually got a performance out that they charged a small fee for and had reasonable success. So they have a follow-up coming in the next month or two, King Without a Kingdom 2. And so look for it. It's a lot of fun. They did a great job.
That's fabulous. Chris, how's everything at Little Globe?
Well, it's actually been a pretty busy year. Like Frank and Currents, we enjoyed a boost of support during the beginning of COVID, and a lot of the state support, and working with New Mexico Humanities Council and others. We were able to, in the PPP money, we were able to sort of keep our productions going forward, and produced dozens of short films that were co-authored with Santa Fe residents. We had the great fortune of including in our team Jason Silverman, who is no longer of Santa Fe. Jason is now running a cinema program in upstate New York, sadly. He left a couple of weeks ago, so we're very sad to lose him. But having him as a member of our team the past year has just been exquisite. And as a team of producers, to be able to pitch to one another and assess one another's work, and to include young producers on our teams, has been extraordinary. And similarly, Frank Rogerson is now staff here at Little Globe, and an incredible asset, great storyteller, a great mentor to our young filmmakers. So we've had, we've worked with dozens now of co-authoring producers across Santa Fe. And it's been a great year. We created Little Globe TV, which was a COVID responsive TV program about Santa Fe, from Santa Fe, kind of following a DIY model. But Ed Radke was the person who cut all of those pieces, and just has a great sense of timing and a great sense of humor. And we were able to go into very deep and complex territories, such as Midtown and monuments and things like that, with a sense of humor, but also a sense of humanity. So it's been a profound year. I think sustaining this team is going to be our biggest challenge now. And I'm delighted to hear that there may be additional funding coming forward from the state and the city. One of our biggest problems is that we had this bump of income for a brief period of time, which put us in good stead for the first half of COVID. But now that we're on the second half, it's a little less certain as to whether or not we'll be able to sustain. So like all nonprofits and probably all for-profits, my job is to fret about such things. But we're working on projects with the city. We're working on a historic preservation project, telling stories of the historic East Side. We're working on a project with Earth Care and the Arts and Culture, telling stories of the South Side, which is resident and youth driven. Stories of, with the Drug Policy Alliance, stories of problematic drug use and the human consequences of the criminalization of drugs, and trying to help to affect public policy around that. So we feel like our work is finally starting to make real impact. And so I'm for myself, it couldn't have been a more challenging and fulfilling year. I just feel such warmth about the people around me and the hard work we're all doing. COVID has entered into our world. We have family members who have COVID and are in danger. And so it's a very real moment. But we're pushing on forward, and delighted to be here with all of you. So thank you, everybody, for continuing.
Stay healthy. Stay well. Pam, what are you up to?
Hi, everybody. I'm listening to Chris talk about the nonprofit world, and we battle the nonprofit challenges as well as the film challenges. So we did virtual fundraising for the first time, had a live panel, and then we taped it with the help of David, extraordinary help of David. We edited it and put it out for a virtual fundraiser. It was a panel of Native American actors talking about the continual challenges they have. Chris Ayer moderated it. Wes Studi, Tantu, Cardinal, Delana Studi talked about what's still going on. If you're an actor and you happen to be Native American, what are the roles for you? What are the challenges? And that was our fundraiser. So it was interesting. We're working on a documentary called Power of Place. That's a working title, talking about protecting sacred lands in New Mexico, which, as everybody knows, have been under attack, and we'll hope get better with the new administration. We're in edit. We're just beginning editing again with David's extraordinary skills to get that working. A lot of what Silver Bullet does, though, is to remain connected to our tribal communities. We're working with about 15 tribal nations on this particular film. So during COVID, we stay in contact with them, and we were able to continue to film. We were able to continue to be there with them. They're going through their own hell right now as COVID attacks their small communities and puts their language speakers and their elders at huge risk. But we're moving forward with them. We are writing grants, not only for the documentary, but to provide computers to these tribal communities, because they don't have the computers for distance learning, in addition to creating their own films and telling the stories about what their own tribal nations are doing to fight COVID, what their leadership looks like, and what the unity of their community looks like. So we donate computers to them, the Big Macs, so that they can have them in a place that still has the internet. So those are the things that we're balancing. And it's all positive, really. And moving forward, you just have to move forward in a different direction than you imagined and using different skills. So listening to you all talk is highly motivating. Thank you.
Wonderful, Pam. Abby.
Hi there. How are you all doing?
Great.
Good to hear from everybody. Yeah, things have just been slow. It's COVID. And post-production, they can push with post-production. So when we get shut down for 2 weeks, most of these productions that are in production don't have to do the ADR and voiceover right away. They, if they have a release date of May of next year, they can afford to wait a little bit. So there seem to be a lot of cancellations and things like that were coming in and then kind of fizzled out. But I expect that those things will come back. I have been working with a real estate company more. I may have mentioned that before. Just to fill in the gaps, I do have a real estate license. I've always been afraid I'm going to starve to death, so I always know how to do 6 things. So I did send a memo to my company. We're with Doug Roberts about the 60,000 square feet with the 40-foot ceilings for Jen, and we'll see what they say. If we find something, I'll let you know. We did just do that contract with the Kmart. That was the building right there near the College of Santa Fe. And anyway, so yeah, if you guys need space, let me know. But that's it. Yeah, I don't have a ton to give. COVID has really shut down my business a lot. I made half as much money this year as I did last year. So that's it.
Well, Kathy, stay well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm still eating. It's okay.
Yay.
Well, as a new member, it is really nice to get to know everyone this way. So I really appreciate and inspired by how you've carried on. I've still got, a few things in development on small projects, but really the last period of time has been more personal transition, selling a multi-generational property and helping loving 89-year-old mother through a move and transitions, and moving myself into a new home in Tasuki, and just trying to ground. So when I can really relaunch to do it well and meaningful projects. So it's really good to know all of you and know where the community is heading. I think there are good things ahead, and I'm sorry for the suffering that you've all been touched by, really. Thanks.
Abby, so we did Kathy, I'm sorry. Milton.
Hey, yeah, lots going on. Geez, lots. I guess as far as classes go, as far as the film department at Santa Fe Community College goes, we had to convert everything to online content with few exceptions. But even as of a couple of weeks ago, we had to either put them on full online content or cancel them. And unfortunately, we did have to cancel one class. It was an advanced grip class, which is all tactile. It's all hands-on. And so we could have continued it, but we didn't have a space for it because the college effectively shut. It's never actually reopened completely, but there are classes that are being held. And film was considered an essential class for workforce development, which it is. But so they let us have a few classes. Starting in spring, we are going to be doing a few more on-ground classes, but we're not starting them until probably mid-semester, mid-March, as my suspicion. We'll start with online content only, and then we will switch over if it works. That being said, I hope it works because last year we received a $150,000 grant from the state for specifically grip and lighting equipment. And so and I didn't think it would be a challenge to spend that much money, but with the pandemic, companies just weren't. I mean, they either didn't have they didn't have stock, they didn't have personnel to ship. I mean, it took us until just actually a year, almost virtually a year, to get the equipment. And so we have some amazing equipment that we're starting to be able to use now, if we actually could use it now. But we are going to be doing we got a DMX wireless lighting system. So we're going to be doing wireless training, which is perfect for COVID because it means less people handling the equipment. And so that's a real critical component to the industry, I think. And so we're trying to satisfy that need by training from the get-go, training how to deal with production during COVID. And we started doing that last February, in fact, because we saw it coming and we tried to do it. And I think we succeeded up to a point, but then it just got out of control. So as you all know, the classes, a couple of classes I didn't think would work online actually turned out exceptionally well online. And I had to do more with the students, I think, which I applaud all the students having to go through what they're having to go through. I mean, and so, but the college, Santa Fe Community College, has been, they upped their game. They've been really supportive of the film department and everything that goes with it and what we're trying to do, workforce development specifically. So I really think the college, they got hit big time right between the eyes and they came back punching. I mean, they did well. They did well. On a personal note, I finally got over my writer's block, which is like, oh my God, praise be. And thank you, Steve, for helping me through that. That was a great virtual beer fest we had. And yeah, but it was great because it got me over that hurdle. And I finally got about half a dozen episodes of a kids science fiction story that a series that I've been trying to get up and running again. It's called Alphonse Doodle Boy Wonder. And it's a time travel story for kids. And it's about as playful as you can get with a serious side note, of course. And so I finally passed that hurdle. So again, so everything seems to be going great. And woohoo, the new year, come on, woohoo.
Yeah, right. So we're going to segue on to our discussion item. And I'd like Randy to join us. I'd like Jennifer to join us, and I'd like Fabian to join us. I'm not sure how I'm going to manage this, but let's pretend that we're at a big table, and if you could put your hand up and wave it if you want to say something, because I don't want to mute everybody. I could, but I'd rather not. So we'll see how that works. But really, I don't know how I phrase this. How can we support emerging media and motion picture industries? How can we as a commission and we as people do that in the next 3 or 4 months? How can we be the most helpful to both of these industries? Anybody? Jennifer, how do you think we can be helpful? There you are.
Hi. I think doing what you're doing with, James being so involved at the governor level, at the state level is certainly instrumental. I think also with the constant communication, if we can keep these meetings up monthly, it's great to hear what everyone's doing and how we can help each other. And as you all know, it's a very word of mouth industry. So if we could keep that communication open, and like I said, try and have these meetings once a month, I think is super beneficial. It helps me to hear what you're all up to. I'm sure it helps everyone else to hear what everyone else is up to, how we can offer our services. I just think just keeping those lines of communication open is the key for the film office.
Thank you. Wonderful. Randy, how do you think we can be the most helpful?
I think this idea of collective wisdom, I think, is terrific for us. And I think being influencers back into your industry is key. You can't just keep the information within this group. You've got to spread it to all of your, as your tentacles go out into the industry. COVID has brought something to mind, and I think maybe a little on the political action side. Clearly, this upcoming legislature is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for them to even accomplish it, let alone get their work done properly. One thing the hospitality industry is tipping their toe in the water on, which I think has come about because of COVID, is this anti-donation clause of our Constitution and the need to bring New Mexico into the 20th century and get rid of that. Because while we were able to share federal funds that came through the COVID CARES Act with private businesses, we're not able to provide the support that our private businesses needed with state resources because of the anti-donation clause. So, there are going to be a lot of things that we work on, and that's a long haul effort. But I think it's one that if we don't get it started, it'll never happen. And our businesses need help from government. And this
the anti-donation clause is
in the Constitution. And it says that a governmental entity cannot give funds to a for-profit business or provide much support for a for-profit. And so all the for-profit businesses have found ways using nonprofits to flow money through. And instead of finding ways to circumvent a law or a constitutional provision, we need to update it to be appropriate for business as it is today. So I think there are things that this group can do. And I also, one mission I want to do, and I'd love to see this evolve over the next several months to a year, is to ensure that this commission is both a city and county commission, as opposed to it being just kind of a city commission. Because this is one of the areas where the boundaries of the city and the county don't make any difference. And the support needs to be county-wide. And I think if this commission had more ties to the county as opposed to almost total allegiance to the city, it would get more support from the county commission as well as the city commission council. And it is one of the areas where we can work very well together. We've proven it with the film office, and the commission should therefore be in line with how we've structured the film office. So, but there's lots that can be done. And I just, Deborah, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your tenacity to continue to push to get this meeting structured online and going. I think we all owe Deborah a big thank you for getting that done.
Well, I'm selfish. I miss you all. Anyway, Fabian, oh, Anna, you have a hand up. Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because as Randy was talking, I thought, okay, so we usually do think about what sort of recommendations we might have for the legislature as it moves forward. You know, is there anything we need to try and push for governmentally? And my head is kind of in a slightly different place because my brother has recently moved here from Philadelphia. And I know that a lot of people are moving here right now. It's kind of a time where people are saying, all right, you know, since nothing's happening anywhere, I'm going to go where I want to be. So he is a film producer, director, you know, shooter. He got here and said, what does this place really need? And it seemed like they needed field producers for sound. So he's gotten himself geared up for that. But there's actually no pathway for him to get through the systems that we've worked really hard over the years to get in place, to get crew, you know, and the technical training, the training programs and all that stuff. Is like, how can he get into the union at this moment? You know, it's a really tough moment. He can't show up at a meeting with friends. He can't, you know, so I'm thinking that that's across the board. And I'm thinking, I wonder how many people are moving here who have skills, who can't enter the system that we've actually worked long and hard to set up. So I just thought maybe somebody might have some information on that, or that might be something we could think about that's very specific to this COVID moment. And, you know, the answer might be, hey, there just isn't that much work right now. There's no way to plug anybody in. But if anybody has any thoughts, I'd love to hear it.
Elias, is that a hand up? We can't hear you. You need to unmute. Here, I'll unmute you there.
No, that was an involuntary hand raise. Sorry.
Okay, all right. So do you have any thoughts on this?
You know, I'm in the union and I'm in the sound department. I could maybe help out if you want to contact me later. And, you know, I'll do whatever I can. I'd be happy to write a letter of recommendation, which he's going to need 2 of if he doesn't already have that. And then I'm also happy to share any information that I have.
Thanks so much.
Sure.
Way to go, Cabby. Jennifer.
So as Anna was speaking, I was also thinking, you know, this group used to host the Above the Line events, and I know we can't do that now, but maybe, you know, getting back to that idea, and we could do something virtually where we can, as the group, as the commission, host some kind of a filmmaker, you know, just mixer online kind of a thing. It'd be maybe starting as a invite only, and then it can expand from there. But maybe along the lines of the communication, you know, like maybe we do something for those who just moved here and how to get into the industry and make some contacts, or for the established that are here, we have that type of a virtual meeting. So we could do different types of people that would come in. But, you know, that was kind of a good way for people to get together and talk and see what's going on. And I don't know of anyone else doing anything like that right now. So if Santa Fe would want to take the lead on that, and we can keep it to our Santa Fe County City within our region here. And then, maybe the state down the line will want to expand it and do something statewide. But I think if we could do something for our filmmakers here, it could be something we could entertain.
That's a great idea. We'll need someone wanting to organize that, but maybe we'll get there. Katrina, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I really wanted to emphasize this idea of sharing knowledge and information, because I think that Santa Fe really is like a word of mouth kind of town. Like there isn't one means of marketing to a big group of people. And just right here, right now, I heard nearly 20 stories of what's going on in the film community here. And I think sharing the opportunities available, the grants, the positions, even just knowing that these meetings are available for streaming on YouTube to anyone who wants to watch it, like maybe in sharing that, it'll get through to the community, but it'll also come back with other opportunities that maybe all of us here and can come back to this meeting with. So I just really believe in the sharing of information and knowledge and actually igniting conversations, because it can be so small and simple, but all you need is that one thing to come through to the group, and we're creating change in a very low lift way without having to organize a virtual meeting event, which I would love to do. It's like Deborah said, someone has to plan it. So
Yeah, well, hopefully somebody will. Chris, you want to input? Or volunteering to plan that?
No, but I just want to say that after the obelisk and the conversations about monuments, one of the most impactful meetings that I've attended was the Arts Commission meeting of last month. And it was well publicized, it was well attended. The public comments section of the meeting was super robust. And in a lot of ways, I think it kind of, it was that information sharing across the community that I think we're speaking about here. And one of the things that's exciting about this particular commission is that we have in our circle already, people like Randy, who's a specialist in terms of bringing outside income into our own economy. Our own economic development department is the host of this entity, about the management of the the economy itself. And then the circle of people who are working in film and digital media, which is one of the most robust and interesting parts of our film and digital media, of our local economy. And it just strikes me that we already have a framework right here that has a precedent here at the city in terms of this being a public forum for relationship building, communications, information sharing. I feel like one of the benefits for myself as a commissioner is, yes, to serve and to support the local economy, but also as I'm hearing things today that I will share with our broad Little Globe community. And so it is a means of dispersing information and resources that, frankly, before today, I probably wouldn't have had quite the same understanding that I do now. So I just want to say that I feel like this is we already have a framework right here. And it's just a matter, I think, maybe of just getting the word out and being really clear about our agenda, about the fact that maybe our next meeting is about resource sharing during COVID. So
on that note, it's really great. We're running out of time for this meeting, but let's continue this at our January meeting. So can we make that our goal for the next meeting, is to continue this? Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add to the goals?
I just have, sorry, go ahead, David.
Yeah.
My one thought in relation to what we just finished talking about too might be, is Santa Fe Network still in a position to help do, it seems like maybe it could take on a little bit of a new bent in terms of involving the community in a different way. I know all that could take work, but I think of what Little Globe was doing with how they brought in different filmmakers to get exposed in the light of what they were presenting, that maybe the network is still a platform we can make use of in all of this.
They became their own nonprofit. Anna, can you briefly address that?
Absolutely. I mean, I love that idea. I've been thinking the same thing and taking some notes on it. And I think, I'll send out an email to the Santa Fe Network, 5 gather of 5 of us. Jim, you're on the list, and we'll see if we can maybe come up with something, because I've been involved in some Zoom meetings that were just amazing, where you could break out into small groups and come back together and report, and it could be really fun to set something up and, you know, kind of push it out, as Chris was saying, you know, through this forum, through all of us as word of mouth. And also because we've got the email list and we've got the past setup of the above the line events, it could be something that people instantly go, that's great, let's do it.
Well, and the network's its own nonprofit, so you don't have to follow any of the city stuff. That you don't get to have Fabian all to yourselves, I'm sorry. But
it can be a full-on happy hour.
yeah, that would be great. So, do we have any matters from the public?
Deborah, before you get off of the January meeting, I think the other thing, if everyone could think about it, would be, because we will be coming up to the legislature, any concerns or thoughts you have for the legislature. I think that should be a discussion. And frankly, the film credits could be attacked because of the new makeup of the legislature. There's a little bit of concern about making sure that those stay intact, and they're critical for this industry. And
you're so right.
So some discussion of that at the January meeting as an agenda item would be great too.
Thank you for that. That's right on. Thank you.
Can I ask one last question, Deborah?
Yes, Tabby.
Jen, were you looking for a space in Santa Fe or the surrounding area?
I'm not the one looking. Oh, Jennifer's looking.
Ideally, Santa Fe, they really want to be in Santa Fe, but
Okay.
we can, at this point, I would love to just have, it's a huge studio and it's a huge project, and I would just love to have them in the state. But if we can keep them in Santa Fe or northern New Mexico, that would be amazing.
Yeah, let's make sure they have to spend the night in Santa Fe, but if they work a little further away, that's okay.
The 60-mile radius, yeah.
Right. So matters from staff. Do we have any other matters from Fabian?
No, there are no more matters from the
Thank
staff.
you for all you do. So any other matters from the commissioners? Any announcements or yes, Steve?
I had a couple of things. We just talked briefly about what was formerly the Above the Line working group, which is now the Filmmaker Advocacy Working Group, which was the last official thing that we did back in February. And Anna and I are chairing that and would love to, actually she and I haven't talked about it, but I think we would love to reconvene that. So that would be a great topic to discuss at that meeting is some sort of get together, some sort of Zoom mixer that put filmmakers together. So Deborah, I don't know if we need to ask formally that we do that, or how we should go about getting working groups together.
Well, let's talk about that at the next meeting, because we're running out of time now, but we will at the next meeting. That's a
Fair
great
enough.
idea.
And so there, a couple of other working.
Fabian, you score me, I hope. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Well, there's also the screenplay contest working group, and at one point we had a Midtown working group as well. So I'd love to, help and be part of those things. One other thing I wanted to mention, I'm on the board at the New Mexico Film Foundation, and you may or may not know that Dirk Norris retired, and we have a new executive director named Terry Fushik out of Albuquerque, who's a producer there. I'm very excited about some of the new blood on the board and some of the things that we're doing, and we're trying to revitalize the board, which means I may be calling some of you to see if you're interested in the Film Foundation. But there's a lot of great programs that we have for primarily above the line people. We have indie screenings, workshops, mixers, and we have a fiscal sponsorship program that has 15 or 20 projects that are that are under the umbrella of our nonprofit that we're doing. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'd love to have some, if you're interested in the foundation, give me a call.
Great information. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Steve. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Or David, did you have something to add?
I can ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to move to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Can I have a second?
A few seconds.
Hilton. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Your hand or something? Okay. Our next meeting is January 5th. Same time, same channel. Anyway, so we'll see you then. And thank you so much, everybody. Have great holidays.
Great seeing everyone.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Aye.